Let me tell you something that most men never realize until it's too late. A woman can love you and still take you for granted. She can laugh at your jokes, hold your hand, even whisper "I love you" at night. And yet somewhere deep down she stopped respecting you. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not one big fight or a single mistake. Hurricane it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's when you drop everything to reply to her messages, but she takes hours to respond to yours. It's when you cancel your plans to see her, but she doesn't blink before canceling on you. It's when your entire world starts revolving around her, but hers keeps spinning with or without you. And here's the bitter truth. The more available you make yourself, the less she values you. The more you prove yourself, the more invisible you become. Women don't admit this out loud, but psychology does. Scarcity creates value. The less of something there is, the more it's desired. Gold is rare, diamonds are rare. Oxygen in a drowning moment is rare. That's why it's priceless. But when you're always there, always giving, always chasing, you become as common as air in a room. She breathes you in, but she never notices you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stand firm in your worth, something shifts. Suddenly, silence becomes your weapon. Absence becomes your power. And that's when she feels it. That's when the regret creeps in. That's when the man she took for granted becomes the man she can't stop thinking about." So today we're breaking down 9 powerful truths about female psychology and relationships. Truths that will not only protect your heart, but also make you unforgettable. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll see exactly why walking away is sometimes the most powerful move a man can make. Chapter 1. Love doesn't guarantee respect. Most men walk into relationships believing a dangerous lie, that love and respect always travel together. If she loves me, she must respect me, right? Wrong. Love can exist without respect, and when it does, the relationship rots from the inside. Picture this. A man gives his woman everything and his time, his money, his attention, his energy. He bends over backward for her. He cancels plans with friends to be available. He sacrifices sleep to talk on the phone. He ignores his own ambitions just to make her smile. At first, she appreciates it, but over time, she begins to feel something she can't explain: boredom. The excitement fades. The respect fades. Why? Because she realizes his world revolves around her, and that means he has no orbit of his own. A woman may love your kindness, but she cannot respect weakness. She may love your affection, but she cannot admire a man who never says no. Respect isn't given. It's earned through self-respect. Marcus Aurelius said the foundation of greatness is to govern yourself first. The same applies here. If you don't respect your own time, your own mission, your own standards, how can she respect them? Here's the test. When you say no, does she pause and pay attention? When you put your goals first, does she lean in closer? That's respect. Without it, love turns into pity, and pity is poison to attraction. So remember, love might make her stay, but only respect makes her admire. And without admiration, love is nothing but a fragile shell waiting to crack. Chapter 2. Value isn't proven by words, but by absence. Human beings don't value what's always in front of them. We value what's rare, scarce, hard to reach. That's why diamonds are treasured and sand is ignored, even though both are just stones from the earth. In relationships, many men try to prove their worth with constant presence. They text first every morning. They're always available, they over-communicate. But psychology says the opposite. It's your absence, not your presence, that creates value. Think about a friend you see every single day. If they miss one day, you barely notice. Now think about a friend who lives abroad. When they visit once a year, that time feels sacred, unforgettable. Scarcity fuels appreciation. The same dynamic plays out in love. When you're constantly around, she unconsciously takes you for granted. But when you pull back, not as a game, but because you're busy building your mission, that space creates curiosity. She starts wondering, where is he? Why isn't he texting me? Did I lose his attention? That curiosity turns into value. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself to live as if each day were his last. Imagine how much more intentional you'd be with your presence. If you treated your time like gold, you wouldn't waste it trying to prove yourself with constant chasing. You'd let your silence and absence speak for you. This isn't about manipulation. It's about balance. Too much presence makes you common. Strategic absence makes you precious. Remember, what you freely give in abundance loses its power. What you guard carefully becomes priceless. Chapter 3. Stand firm in who you are. Every strong relationship is built on one question. Do you bend under pressure, or do you stand firm in who you are? Women test this, not always consciously but instinctively. They want to know if the man they're with is made of stone or sand. Here's a real-life scenario. A woman says something dismissive to her man in front of her friends. One guy laughs it off nervously, pretending it doesn't bother him. Another calmly says, "Don't talk to me that way," and leaves it at that. Which one will she respect? Always the second. Why? Because women may not admit it, but deep down they admire boundaries. Too many men lose themselves in relationships. They adopt her hobbies, drop their own, change their opinions, even their personalities just to keep the peace. But in doing so, they erase the very identity she was drawn to in the first place. A man without conviction becomes a shadow, and shadows don't inspire desire. Marcus Aurelius believed the soul takes on the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are weak, "I'll do anything just to keep her," then your actions will be weak. But if your thoughts are firm, "This is who I am, this is what I stand for," then you radiate strength. Standing firm doesn't mean being stubborn or controlling. It means calmly holding your ground no matter the storm. A woman may push harder at first, but over time, she'll realize she's with a man who cannot be moved by fleeting moods. That, my friend, is where respect is born. Remember, women may love many men, but they only admire the one who stands unshaken. Chapter 4. Strength is quiet, not loud. We live in a world where noise is mistaken for strength. Men flex cars, post gym selfies, brag about money, or lose their temper to prove dominance. But here's the truth, real strength doesn't shout. It whispers. Think of a lion. It doesn't need to roar all day for the jungle to know who's king. Its very presence demands respect. Meanwhile, the monkey screams the loudest, yet no one fears the monkey. Here's a real-life example. Two men face rejection. One explodes in anger, cursing, making a scene. The other simply nods, smiles, and walks away. Which one looks stronger? Which one she remembers later? It's never the man who yells. It's the man whose calm shakes her more than anger ever could. Quiet strength is magnetic. It's discipline, restraint, composure. It's the man who doesn't brag about his success because his success speaks for itself. It's the man who doesn't need validation because his self-worth is already sealed. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, ruled the most powerful empire in history. Yet he journaled humility, not arrogance. He didn't need to parade his power. He lived it. That's the essence of quiet strength. And here's the irony. The quieter your strength, the louder the impact. People lean in when they sense unshakable confidence that doesn't need words. Women especially feel it. They know the difference between fake bravado and calm dominance. So never mistake noise for power. Power is when your silence makes the room shift. Strength is when your calm presence lingers long after you've left. Chapter 5. Embrace detachment, not bitterness. There's a fine line between strength and resentment. Too many men, when hurt, choose bitterness. They say all women are the same, or they shut down emotionally, carrying anger into every future relationship. But bitterness is weakness disguised as toughness. True power is in detachment. Imagine this. You've been giving everything to a woman, and suddenly she pulls away. A bitter man reacts with anger, sending angry texts, stalking her social media, bad-mouthing her to friends. A detached man, he takes a deep breath, feels the sting, but refuses to let it control him. He steps back, not to punish her, but to protect his peace. That difference is everything. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind and not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Detachment is exactly that. It's not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about mastering your emotions so they don't master you. Real-life example. When she ignores your call, instead of spiraling, you go to the gym, work on your craft, or read. Instead of chasing, you rise. That shift changes everything. A bitter man pushes her further away. A detached man, paradoxically, makes her curious again. Because here's the secret. Women aren't drawn to anger. They're drawn to mystery. Detachment keeps your power intact. It shows you're not begging for love, and you're choosing it. And you can also walk away, so don't let pain harden you into bitterness. Let it forge you into calm detachment. That's where respect, attraction, and peace live. Chapter 6. Purpose makes you unforgettable. Every man asks, how do I make her obsessed with me? The answer isn't found in texts, gifts, or tricks. The answer is purpose. A man with purpose becomes unforgettable. Think about it. A man who orbits his life around a woman will eventually suffocate her. She feels his entire identity depends on her approval, and that's a heavy weight to carry. But a man who has a mission, who wakes up driven, who chases goals beyond romance, that man is magnetic. Real life story. Two men get rejected. One spends weeks drowning in self-pity. The other dives into building his business, training his body, mastering his skills. Months later, who do you think she looks back at with regret? Always the man who turned pain into progress. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is short, and to waste it on distractions is to betray himself. He lived with purpose, not to impress, but because meaning is the only true fuel for the soul. When you embody this, you stop asking, how do I keep her? And instead ask, how do I fulfill my potential? Ironically, that makes you more attractive than anything else. Purpose is the fire that keeps your presence alive in her memory. She may forget your words, your gifts, even your touch, but she will never forget the man who had a vision bigger than her. Remember, when your life has direction, you don't chase. You move forward, and she can either walk beside you or be left behind. That's unforgettable. Chapter 7, The Power of Absence. Absence is a teacher most men are afraid to use. We think constant presence, constant attention is what keeps love alive. But too much presence breeds comfort, and comfort often breeds neglect. Absence, when used with purpose, brings perspective. Picture this. A man spends every waking moment with his woman. At first, she's thrilled, but slowly his presence becomes predictable. His love, though genuine, begins to feel ordinary. Now imagine the same man pulls back, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. He spends time building his career, seeing friends, traveling, or simply sitting in silence with his own company. Suddenly, she notices the space he leaves behind. That's when absence starts whispering louder than presence ever could. Real life confirms this. Think about the breakups you've seen. A woman rarely misses the man who begged and pleaded to stay, but she always remembers the one who walked away with dignity. Because absence forces reflection. It makes her confront a simple, haunting truth. Life feels emptier without him. Marcus Aurelius believed in stepping back to see life clearly. Absence does the same in relationships. It's not punishment. It's perspective. It reminds her and you of value. Here's the lesson. Don't fear absence. Use it wisely. Let her feel the space you leave behind, because often it's only in your absence that she realizes your true worth. Chapter 8. She comes back to strength. Here's a hard truth. Women may leave strength, but they always return to it. Weakness might entertain them for a season, but strength is what anchors them for life. Consider this. A man loses his frame. He becomes needy, insecure, reactive. She pulls away, maybe even leaves. At first, she may run to excitement. A man who flatters her endlessly, or one who pretends to be bold. But soon she sees the cracks. That's when memory strikes. She remembers the man who was calm, firm, disciplined. The man who didn't beg, who stood tall even in silence. That memory gnaws at her. Real-world example. Many men report exes reaching out months, even years later. Not because of charm or tricks, but because they stayed on their path. They didn't collapse under rejection. They built themselves up, physically, mentally, financially. Strength became their identity, and strength always pulls back what weakness cannot keep. Marcus Aurelius taught that the universe returns everything in cycles. What departs often comes back when the time is right. Women, too, circle back, not to the man who begged, but to the one who rose. But here's the catch. By the time she returns, you may have outgrown her. That's the beauty of strength. It not only attracts her back, it also gives you the power to decide if you still want her. Remember this. She may wander, but strength is the gravity she cannot escape. Stay strong and watch how the world, and sometimes even she, comes back around. Chapter 9. The man she can't replace. At the end of it all, every woman faces this truth. Some men are unforgettable. Not because they begged, not because they showered her with gifts, but because they lived in such a way that replacing them was impossible. Think of it this way. Most men leave behind nothing but memories of neediness, fights or empty words. But a man rooted in purpose, discipline, and self-respect leaves behind a standard, a benchmark that every man after him will be silently compared against. That's the man she can't replace. Picture this scenario. She leaves him for someone more exciting. At first it feels like freedom, but weeks later she notices the difference. The new guy cracks under pressure, He complains about life instead of conquering it. He needs her validation just to feel alive. And suddenly, memories of her past man, the one who carried himself with calm strength, who didn't crumble when she tested him, flood back. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That's the secret. You don't talk about your worth, you embody it. You live it so deeply that long after you're gone, she feels the echo of your presence. Be the man who can't be replaced. Because while she may find someone else to fill her time, she won't find another who fills her soul the way you did. And that's your legacy." Conclusion: the Stoic path forward. So let's bring this full circle. You've just seen 9 truths, each one a piece of the puzzle. That makes a man unforgettable. Value proven by absence, standing firm in who you are. Quiet strength, detachment, purpose, absence as power, strength as gravity. And finally, becoming the man she cannot replace. But here's the thing, brother. This isn't just about women. It's about you. About building yourself into a man who can walk through fire without flinching. A man who doesn't crumble under heartbreak. A man who doesn't beg for validation but creates it within himself. Because the truth is, when you master yourself, the world bends in your direction. Women respect it. Men admire it. And you feel free. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire in history. Yet his journals were filled with reminders not to lose his soul to distractions. He knew power means nothing without self-mastery. And that's the same for you. Your kingdom may not be Rome, but your mind, your mission, your discipline, that's your empire. So don't just listen to these words. Live them, apply them. The next time you feel her pulling away, don't beg, don't break. Stand tall, be calm. Redirect that energy back into your purpose. Because when you do, 2 things will happen. 1, she'll either come back, drawn again to the strength she couldn't replace. 2, or she won't. But you'll be so far ahead you won't even care. That's the Stoic way. Build yourself, guard your peace, walk your path, and never forget, the man who conquers himself is the man the world, and sometimes even she can never forget. Now, brother, if this message hit you deep, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and join us here on Stoic Mysteries, where we turn pain into power and men into legends.